Yeah, I was really surprised. It looks like a never nice conference.
Yeah,
It's a little smaller in this configuration.
Okay.
All right. Something about putting a table in the middle of the room gives the illusion of.
Yeah, it's a little bigger. But, yeah, we were pretty creative yesterday when we were setting up.
Yeah, get all the tables out.
Yeah.
Chairs in.
Yeah, and then.
Hopefully not too many large trucks roll by.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll close the windows here. And,
Yeah, I put them down just to try to keep some airflow going, but we'll knock down some of that.
yeah. So, yeah. So.
Okay. You're welcome to join us.
Come on in anyway. You want to
We're just going to play tag.
So, yeah.
So you're the evil eye. I receive it. What do you guys do?
It's a little art studio collective, so visual artists
I was having a one-to-one with Nick, and I kept saying, "Well, I gotta go, I gotta go," and we were talking about. He's wanted to hear a lot about my old business, my coffee business that I have. So we've talked
Like,
about
you
that.
can't give me, like, I can't do any more of that business because I'm not there anymore.
No, well, I could if I wanted, but I'm not going to. I don't want to.
You're done with the 3 a.m. wake up?
Oh, Brett.
I'm done with the
My sign-up page, I forgot to put it on this sheet, so I put it up there. And so on it, if you go to that, you can download the slides, and then you have the opportunity to do email sign up, and then I have a productivity
Okay,
deal.
so we'll have to point everybody to that.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Where's your
It was in Montana and Darby. I mean,
Yeah.
Hamilton.
You're making reference to
Yeah.
there's one there?
No.
Not a
We
problem.
lived in Darby and our business was in Hamilton, so it was a 45-minute drive.
You guys here moved down?
It's southwest Montana. Very beautiful there. It's on fire right now. But
Well, I'm looking forward to having a one-to-one with you, and I've already talked with you an awful lot about your previous business. We'll talk about
Whenever I'm ready.
yeah, the current one.
All right.
Let me get this set.
Okay,
You're just barely out of frame for you,
so I gotta stay
Yeah.
back here.
Stay back there or step
Or,
this way.
yeah, it's done.
There you go.
Do we need to adjust it?
There, no, well, you can come forward. No, I'll give you your boundaries. You're good there.
Okay.
Don't go any further forward.
Okay.
You're out.
Yeah, you do know you're live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's comfortable.
You just got a photographer sitting behind this one. Like,
Oh God, that's right. You're gonna be like, okay. All right. Well, on that note, welcome everybody. This is Biz Ed. I'm Brett Carpenter. I'm your MC. We'll kind of try to keep things moving here today. And you may ask, first thing is everybody signed in with Drew or on the iPad, got their information in? Everybody's good? All right.
You can sign in at boostbized.com/I am here as well.
So yeah, boostbized.com/I am here is another way to sign in and be part of the group here. And you may ask, what the heck is this? This is something that's actually been going on for 8 years. We have the founder here, and I'm going to have him talk about it in a little bit, but just really quickly, Boost Biz Ed is what we call positively actionable education. So we're here to give you things you can use in your business today, tomorrow, immediately. That is really the crux of all of this, is trying to make sure that whatever, when you spend and invest your time here, that you get something out of it. And that is really the core of what we do. So we're not here to do a sales pitch to you. This is not going to be a long pitch for somebody's company or anything like that. Yes, we all have companies. We all have things that we can support each other and do. But we want to come out of here with something you can actually use. And that is really what we really try to be part of everything. So I'm going to let Drew actually speak for a second, because he started this whole thing 8 years ago, and he can probably give you a little bit of insight as to kind of where this came from. So Drew.
All right. Wow, this is exciting. And hello out there in Facebook Live world. I started Boost Biz Ed 8 years ago, kind of out of a passion for generating business, but also doing it in such a way of attracting great people that I want to work with. And so recently moved out here to Oregon. So excited to get things rolling here. Milestone today. Woohoo! You know, getting things going. It's going to be a great series. Second and fourth Thursdays here. We're in 2 different locations in the Denver area, and also this conversation is down in San Diego. So this is a national movement. It's a great business people coming together to find other people they want to work with, and also, most importantly, probably, is the education, actionable education. And we distinguish that from other education, as Brett had mentioned, is that it's not a sales pitch, but it's something you can do something with right away. Because we want to lift businesses one action at a time. So this is the place to come to find those actions that you can, lift your business a little bit and to find other great people. So glad you're a part of this here in Oregon. I can't tell you how excited I am. So thank you all for being here, and I'll pass it back to Brett. Thanks, Brett.
All right. Thank you. Alrighty, so before we get into our speaker today, we want you to actually introduce yourself. So, you got 20 seconds, and I won't be timing you, but keep it short. Who you are, what value you bring, and why you're investing your time with us today. So as I already said, I'm Brett Carpenter, and my value is working with businesses and helping them build systems and grow and be more successful. And I'm investing my time because I really believe in business education. So I can give you an example. Drew introduced himself. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Drew?
I'll just say real quick, I hope the audio is going across there, but I just realized we have a mic on our speaker, Scott. So.
Should be picking up fine.
Should be, oh, right, great.
Yeah.
The other business I have, Call to Action Alliance, website where I love working with businesses to figure out, digging into their passions and figuring out how to best differentiate them from the competition. So, great to be here.
I'm Robin Davis. I am president of Point Technologies. Been in business for a little over a year and a half, and I bring the table is technology sourcing and supply chain management services, and really interesting technologies around position. And I'm here. I just feel like I haven't sharpened myself a lot in the last couple of years as I got this thing going. So I really want to get back into learning, doing the continual learning thing. That's it.
Thank you.
I am Lyanne. I have a photography business. The thing that I bring to the table is taking people's moments and memories and creating fine artwork out of it. And I'm here because there's always something to learn. I want to figure out what those things that I don't know that I need to learn, and curiosity.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Peter. I bring age to the table. And I like curiosity is the main reason I'm here. I've been volunteering at the back end with the SCORE National Advisors Group for half a dozen years now, and it always seems like it's almost ready to do something useful. And so this is yet one more step towards being really useful.
All right. Thank you.
I'm Diane Dunn. I have a farmers insurance agency over on Circle Boulevard, and I have a lot of commercial clients, so I think I bring a lot of contacts to the room, and curiosity, and there's always room for improvement with everyone's business, no matter what the business is. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm Silas. I'm an intern here at the Business Enterprise Center, and I'm here just to learn from Scott and learn from everybody about business.
And I'm Scott Smith. I am a motivational listener. I do a lot of business consulting, work with startups, and I'm all about collaboration. So that's what I'm here for.
Thank you. So we're going to start to get into our speaking in just a moment. So this is the Biz Ed is put on by a series of people, allies, that help with this. And we'll talk more with them after the presentation. But there are people in this room that help put this together, and we're going to continue to try to bring quality talks and education to you as we go on. And we'll kind of all introduce ourselves a little bit after the presentation, because it's really, that's what it's about, right? So without further ado, Scott Weaver, who owns Arise 2 LLC, is going to be talking to us about leadership today. And Scott lives here in Western Oregon, just a little bit out of town in Wilmette, actually. And he doesn't consider this actually Silicon Valley. You know, it's a little bit off the main grid of what is really your high-tech bastion place to be, but yet, you know, he's been able to be successful. So he's been successful as a tech lead for Malaysia computer chip design group. He's been a CEO of a high-tech university spin-out. You were a graduate of OSU, go Beavs, okay? So, and he's also a father, and he considers that one of his best and most important leadership positions. He currently owns a management consulting company and is also president of the board of the Business Enterprise Center here in the back. And so I've worked with Scott for a few months now. Really, you know, he's a great guy. He's very sharp, and in spite of living in this rural area, he's been very successful. He's also had a successful marriage over 23 years, so he considers that another part of his success, and owning his home, his cars, and being able to send his kids off. And now he's a recent empty nester like me. All right. So if he can make it, you know, any of us can make it here, right? So give a round of applause. Come on up, Scott.
Oh wow, it's going to be hard to live up to now. Okay, so yeah, today's topic is on leadership, and things in which I really have learned over the years since I transitioned from engineering kind of leadership to actually business. I did graduate from Willamette University with an MBA, and one of the ways that I keep out of dissonance, which I'm going to talk about later, is I follow leadership books. And this one is John C. Maxwell's, it's the Daily Reader. And for today, I was kind of curious. It said, make sure you have captured your leader's vision so you can pass it on. And I thought it was really appropriate because I'm passing on some of my leader experiences, especially over the last 10 years, but over the last 15 here. But before we could go, I need to put my slides up here.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. There we go. Okay. And so, so I titled this, Live to Tell, because business is actually hard to do, and there's a lot of ups and downs. And today it's going to be a little more on the serious side. Not so that I want to dampen things, but I want you to be successful. And these are some of the things that I went through, and I didn't have a good mentor starting out. And a lot of things I'm going to talk about today, there's 4 main key points. They're listed on the sheet there. I really wish, somebody had set me down, day one when I was a CEO, say, Scott, you need to do this. And so I'm passing on my learnings. So you don't, take as long as I took to learn this stuff, and that you can actually advance your careers, your business, and help your customers more. And so what is leadership? Leadership is influence. That's basic. It's quoted from John C. Maxwell. He actually got it from other people. And it's not a title. It's not how tall you are. Everybody has area of influence. And everybody in one way or another is a leader. If you have a family and have kids, you're a leader, especially for your kids. 3-year-olds have no idea how to take care of themselves. You got to lead them. All the way to presidents and emperors and all that. And so you have an area of influence. And that's what I want to encourage you to expand your influence and your ability to lead. And the other one, I was really surprised to pull this one up. It's from a 4-star general, Anthony Zinni. And it says that personal development is one of the most significant attributes of a truly successful leader. And that's what I've found out. The average CEO reads 60 books a year. So really cranking out that constant input. And the reason why, as you develop and your business grows, the stakes get higher and higher. And when they get higher, you discover things. And one of the key things that I've really discovered, especially when I came on as CEO, is that running a business is very emotional. And if you come from an engineering background that's very analytical, and then you have your MBA where you're supposed to have the proper business, and you're always supposed to, process and do that, and find out, wow, this is very emotional. You're dealing with human nature. Things don't go right. Problem solving all the time. And when you become a leader or you own your company, you think you're the boss, but you actually have many more bosses. When I became CEO, the employees were telling me I need this. The suppliers were saying you need to pay me this. The university said you need to pay us this. Government, of course, steps in. And so you actually have many bosses that you have to deal with. Even though, from a society standpoint, you are supposed to be the boss. And another thing is a business will consume you. It will consume a person. It just grows and grows and grows. And you have to set boundaries so you don't burn out, because as your business grows and you have employees, it becomes very important that you take care of yourself. Because when people start depending on you, you feel that responsibility and you want to please them. And I found, I have a theory right now, is that all owners, business owners and leaders are people pleasers at one level. They want to please, whether it's through a product, really helping society, or just, on the face-to-face, one-on-one, trying to help. But when you have a people pleaser component, okay, you can't say no, and everybody figures that out and wants them to help you. And then that gets into a couple pitfalls. And I'm going to get into more details on that later. But this is what I hope to share with today, is how to avoid pitfalls and traps so that you can control your venture, your business, even your life, so that you can stay on track towards your dreams and your goals that you want to do. That is what I hope to do. It's starting line. I'm going to go very fast because I'm an engineer. I like data dumps, but to give you pointers and a starting line so that you can go on at a deeper level, particularly to your needs and where you are in life. Okay. So the first key point is avoid the dissonance trap. There's a lot of other words for it, but when you get out of your groove and you get rattled and the power stress and everything's going on, your vision gets narrower, you don't think as clearly, you don't have the vision, and then when fear starts coming in, you start making fear-based decisions. It's usually the wrong one, and then you're on a downward spiral. So there's a lot of information out there on how to avoid that, and that's why I bought this book, is to avoid dissonance, kind of keep me on track in those days. The other one is to increase your emotional intelligence. I'll talk more about that. You need to understand how your body reacts to stress. Then putting tough things first. If you are a creative type and you like creating things, financial books is like a burden. Okay, but you need to put those first, because if you run out of cash, you're out of business. And then finally is keep the faith. And that is that vision for the future that you're going to. So when you have the dark days and it's rainy, that you can get through those. So leadership always has context, and your leadership in your company is going to be different from my leadership here at the back. And so I'd like you to adapt kind of what I'm talking about to your particular need. But where I'm coming from, my leadership, is I started out with no mentors. I was thrust into leadership positions, particularly when I was at Agilent/Avago. They got killed in the dot-com bust. I was the magical age where I was too young to get laid off and too old to be laid off. I was right smack in the middle. So they laid off all the people better than me, and then they laid off all the people that was helping me. And so I couldn't deliver what I was supposed to, which was key components on computer chips. So they gave me a team in Malaysia. No guidance. My boss had 5 groups to manage. And I was a one-person group at the time. And then they picked a team that was based on the ability to speak English instead of Callan. So I was just like thrust in that. Learned a lot of things it was pretty painful. And then when I became CEO, all of a sudden I was supposed to magically have the answer for every known problem in the universe. I was my personal bank account was in the billions. I had personal connection to every VC known to mankind, and I was going to raise billions of dollars. I mean, that was the expectation. And I didn't really know how to handle it at the time. So that was a pretty rough time. But then a transition really happened in 2011, 2012. So I started my own business, joined the BEC, and there I had mentors that could really keep me on track, and which really, really helped my development. And I just want to say, yeah, mentors are very, very helpful, and they don't have to be a personal. You can have books. So in some way, this John C. Maxwell, even though I don't know him, he doesn't know me, is a mentor to me because I can read his wisdom and knowledge and grow that way. So the first is avoid the cognitive dissonance. And this is a human nature thing. Everybody experiences it. I've experienced it. I still deal with it. And the way I summarize it is, if a situation comes along that doesn't meet your beliefs or your expectations, the human tendency is to invent a new reality to fit it. And the quote that I have here is, actually I've seen this, is, our product hasn't been selling for 2 quarters, but it's a great product, and word of mouth is going to come along, and then we're going to double our sales and triple our sales next quarter. That is a huge red flag that dissonance is taken away and people are not seeing reality. Because you just can't say a great product and everybody's going to buy it. Maybe there's a marketing problem. Maybe there's a quality problem with a product. But people don't want to go there. That's hard work. And you don't want to admit that something went wrong. So definitely you want to avoid that. And there's a professor called Boaz, and he's actually academically called this, really at a very deep level, actually too deep to be practical, but I'm going to bring it up. And he calls it this sacrifice syndrome. And if you're a people pleaser and you're always trying to help, what happens, you get a crisis, and then threats and crisis, and becomes sustainable. You work hard, do all that, and you just get in this downward spiral, and then you burn out. And this is you have to recognize when you see that, and get out of it as soon as you can. You can't avoid it, but you need to see the early signs to go through there. Okay, and he also has a solution, and he calls it the renewal cycle. And so in your business operations and as time goes along, you will have to sacrifice. If cash is short and you own a company, you pay your employees first, and you're the one that's buying the top ramen. Okay? But you also have to have a renewal cycle. And for me, I usually take definitely 1 day on the weekend, and there's no work. Well, not work. I like gardening, and I like exercising and hiking and pulling weeds when I'm really stressed. But that's kind of my down and the renewal. And so the renewal one is that you have good relationships, your support team, mentors. You have effective leadership that you can deal with the crisis and the threats. And then you have the personal renewal. So you have a positive cycle that's going through here. So there's a lot to it. He has a whole book on it. It's called Resonant Leadership. It's very deep. If you're into that, it's a good book. If you're looking for the outline version, look online. So the next one is increase your emotional intelligence. And this is also from the general. I was really surprised to find this quote. It's like, how do you get there? First, you have to get in touch with yourself. This is a Marine Corps, hardcore Marine. He was in Vietnam. He was the key leader in the first Iraq War. And I'm like, wait, why does a soldier need to have in touch with yourself? And he gets back into that stress. Military stress and war is different than a business. But there is some overlapping areas that we can pull from that. Is that when things go wrong and you're a general or you're a captain in there and you lose people under you, the stress levels just go through the roof on those people. And so knowing how you deal with that is very, very important. Fortunately, we're not in that serious of a condition. But one of the things is how your body reacts to stress. And I learned this kind of late in life. I took a karate class with my daughter, started with the white belt. And when you're a white belt and you're starting out and you're sparring with somebody who has a very dark belt on there, stress level comes up. And the only times I've been really injured is self-inflicted when I was a white belt because I overreacted. Some black belt kind of just had a real easy, and I just went, pop my shoulder. No touch, no contact. I did it myself. And I remember the first time where I was finally able to defend myself and in a real sparring. And this particular fighter had the bull rush. And what he does is he charges it because he knows that people will get afraid. And I blocked all that. And all of a sudden he's like, he sees his face, and then he backs up. And then the sensei says, Scott, go after him. And all of a sudden, I was like sweating in a different way. My heart was beating. I was a little stressed. Okay. The very next day, I think, Peter, you might have been in that. We were in a meeting. This is like 2-3 years ago. And there was very strong disagreements. It was outside the back. We had back visors and doing that. And things were heating up. And it's like, wait, no, this is starting to get out of hand. I need to step in. My body physically reacted the same way than when I was in the sparring ring. I was like, whoa. And when I recognized it, I was like, okay, wait. I did not get punched in the face there. I can do this. And so that was a really key learning for me. I wish I would have learned it about 20 years earlier than I did. But, get in those situations where it's a safe environment to figure out how your physical body, because everybody reacts differently about it. And so that gets into that emotional intelligence for it. The other one is defensive behaviors. When I'm stressed, I like to eat popcorn, sodas, like 44 ounces of it, and hamburgers. And when I'm on constant stress, all of a sudden I'm gaining weight. And when you gain weight, then you're not as active, and you're in a dissonance cycle. So watch that. And then the other one this is when I was CEO. I was under heavy stress for a good 4 or 5 months. There's no breaks, no nothing. And at the end of it, I was making some bad decisions. And there was a troublemaker that I went after when I didn't need to. And things went bad. So don't do that. Recognize and take those breaks. And this summer, I recognized that because I was turning empty nester. 2 kids in college, both in private, so very high expenses. And my daughter went to Tennessee. And so we took 2 stress out there. How do you run a company? How do you run the back when you're in Tennessee? And my daughter is very musical, very people-oriented, not detail-oriented at all. So I was like worried about all the details. So when I came back, I basically took a week off. I did do some work, but that's how I lowered the stress level, how I came back. So hopefully you can do that. Okay. The other one is to be in resonance. The personal factors. You need to get enough sleep for your body. You need to eat right. You need to have downtime, exercise, all those, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people. And growing up, for the longest term, both from my parents, my family, and from the church, it's like, you got to have everybody else, first. But when you are a leader and when you're running company and you have people dependent on you, if you don't take care of yourself, they don't get taken care of. So I have now put taking care of myself as the number one important thing. Because if I don't take care of myself and I get sick or I don't have clarity, things don't go well. And then, and as you get older, the stakes get higher and higher and higher. And so, got to take care of that. And the other one's the support team. Spouse, family, friends, peers. Definitely helpful. And then just personal downtime. And then listen to your intuition. So remember, I'm an analytical guy, engineer type, so I have to figure things out. My heart knows the answer before my brain does. And I've had to learn to listen to that gut feeling. But I've also learned from dealing with people who don't have this problem that they're very intuitive. They can take a situation. They don't understand how or why the process, but they know what to do and they do the right thing. But what I've learned is you got to get your brain into enough information. Your brain is incredibly powerful. It can spot and figure out things that at a subconscious that we cannot do. So those are trying to keep out of the dissonance, to keep you on track, and to be successful ultimately. The other one that I found is putting tough things first. And this is a wording from a book by Ray Zinn. And there is, if you're electrical engineering, it's a great book. If not, there's some good points, but get the condensed version of it. But there's no discipline unless there's self-discipline. So he was the longest running CEO in Silicon Valley, 30-something years. And he went blind during that process. So how are you a CEO and you're blind? And so he has a lot of insights on that. And he is a super self-disciplined type of guy. And the other key thing I want to put in, putting tough things first, most people do not handle the financial books of their company as well as they should. It's boring, it's tedious, you got to deal with IRS, which is always a pain. And then you're dealing with tax accountants who are like, everything has to be just right. And you're like, it doesn't matter. But he says financials tell a story, and unlike fictional stories, you must believe it. And so that gets into the dissonance, creating your own reality. But if your books are showing, well, my company has lost money for the last 5 months, you need to believe that, and you need to do the tough things, and you need to take care of that. Because things go bad when your company runs out of money. So, and a couple other tough things is you need to set boundaries as a leader. So there's many ways to do it. Personalities all do it, but they block at times. Like, I have no meetings this time. I have no phone calls. I don't tweet. I don't Facebook, but I do answer emails and I do planning. Usually it's the first of the week when they're planning out the week and scheduling, but they allow no interruptions. Yeah, no exceptions except family emergency. Okay. The other one, if you have a partnership in your business, determining the company ownership and define it. It's a tough situation because the human nature says we split it 50-50, or if you have 3 people, thirds. That sounds fair. But in reality, everybody's putting in a different aspect of it. Because to be successful, you need a team, which means there's different players. And some are going to be putting in more. Someone's going to only put in the cash. Someone's going to put in the sweat equity and time. And you need to work that out early. When I came on as CEO, it was originally founded by professors. I was the founding CEO. They had it was LLC partnership. Started, it was like 3 years before I did. No agreement, no division of percentages, no role, who's going to do what. And on top of that, they didn't file any tax for that. And because they didn't need it. It's like, oh, we didn't make any money, so we don't have to file. And so one of the first things I do was to clean that up. But we paid lawyers twice. It was a lot of money. It was nearly $10,000. And for a startup company, that is a lot of money because they did not figure out the ownership. We went through, we did it, the lawyers wrote it all up, and then the professors going like, all of a sudden reality hit them. No, so we had to do it again. So do that first, so you don't have to spend, we actually had to spend CPA money to straighten out the books, so I didn't find out until afterwards. I could have gone to jail because things weren't filed, even though I started before that happened. But we paid Moss Adams a lot of money per hour to straighten that up. So if you take care of the tough things first, A, things go smoothly. 2, you save tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. The other one's accept the chicken or the egg dilemma, especially raising money. You got to prove yourself with no money, no resources before somebody's going to give you resources. And I think that's across the board. Nobody's going to buy a new car unless you prove the car works. Nobody's going to buy your product because they don't know you until you prove it. And you're going like, how am I supposed to do this if I have no money? Well, that's the challenge of an owner, a challenge of an entrepreneurship. It has been done before. It's been done thousands and thousands of years. And I think people in this room are doing it right now for the most part. And learn to say no. You got to prioritize on your goals because if you're a people pleaser, you like to pleasing people, you want to say yes. And there's a lot of good causes, a lot of needs, but you got to keep that boundary. You got to say no, and that's hard to do. Okay. The other one is oh man, I keep struggling exactly how to communicate this. It's keep the faith. And so one is faith is the assurance or things hoped for. So when you start a business, you hope for great things. You hope to have taken care of all your employees. You're paying, all their 401ks. You're paying for all the health care. Your family, you have a home on the lake, plus your nice house, and everything's like, that's what you hope for. Then reality sets in. And here is a stat that I'm working on. This first came up from a professor when I was at Willamette. And that is the number one reason why businesses go out of business is the owner quit. And so there's a contract. But the professor...
Can you tell us something?
So yeah, sometimes quitting is good. But when you read the SBA and it says, I don't know, 2/3 of the business fail within 2 or 3 years, you got to look beyond, and it's like, why? So if a business is bought out by another company, that business closed down. But wait, the employees are all there. The owners are still there. People got paid. People got rich. So that's actually a good thing, but it doesn't show up there. But I've seen it multiple times, and one of my top clients, this is in Southern Oregon, just quit. So it was about 2 years ago. They came in. They had a serious cash flow problems. So I helped them out. Come up with a plan. It was a woman-owned business. Great. She was really good at what she was doing, and her husband was helping out. And they had this great plan. Creditors came after her, but because we had a plan, it was easy to get them off their back. Then a couple of months later, things didn't go well, and she got a divorce. And all of a sudden, just quit. Employee, it just drove me nuts. I didn't even know about it until I didn't get paid, and I was like, hey, what's going on? It's like, it's like 15 employees like that. Just, I still have hard issues with that. I understand why she got there because I knew the details, but there's other ways to do it, and that gets into, that faith that you will be successful one way or the other, that you'll overcome without quitting. And it's not platitudes or slogans. Because there's a lot. When I was CEO, I heard a lot of platitudes of people well-meaning but totally useless phrases like, work smart, not harder. I'm like, that's not helpful. Go get a salesperson. It's like, why do I need a salesperson when I have a customer? And we're having problems delivering to that. You hear all these just general kind of hopeful things, but you got to go below that, because in the dark days and your business is struggling, you got to reach deep. And if you have empty tank, it's going to be really difficult. But success requires action, and fruitful results requires renaissance. And that gets back into the previous 3 things that I talked about. Because if you have the proper cycle, you're taking care of yourself, so you're able to deal with that, you're still helping people, you're pleasing people, but you have the proper balance, your actions will lead to success. Maybe not the way you originally planned, but you will make the adjustments to be successful. And another key thing in which I still do not like this phrase, I wish somebody could disprove it, but I haven't able to disprove it. Resources come after the next step. So I was talking with Silas the other day, and he's like, well, we want to expand the BEX programs. And he goes, okay, let's draw out a detailed plan. Let's go get somebody to pay for that detailed plan. And then away we go. But I tried that multiple times. It's failed every time. You got to have the programs, at least a small version, in place before people will go in. And in your businesses, we have a photographer and insurance. You got to show that the insurance and the photography, you can deliver on that before anybody's going to give you any money. And so, but if you don't take the step to develop the company or your product to show people, then you're not going to get any money. So, key point is, resources come after the next step. Okay, So, sometimes, this is from a Super Bowl winning coach, as a leader, you just simply have to act that what you believe will happen. Like it's a done deal. And it's a weird approach, because if you're a leader, some of you might have experienced this, and you're acting like this, people will criticize you. Like, you don't know that. How do you know that? Well, you just act. You act like you're going to win the Super Bowl. You act like you're going to be successful. If you need to grow your revenues in your business by $100,000, you act like you're already making the $100,000. And that is in that focus for that. And then, of course, the one, chance favors the prepared, from Pastor. So if you've done the preparation, you are ready to seize the opportunities that come along, even though you may not know what those opportunities are today. So, okay. So kind of wrapping up here a little bit is just remember, leadership is influence. It's not a title. It's not how much money you have in the bank account. It's not your product. It's influencing, and it's influencing people. Okay, it's hard to, yeah, so that's one of the key. And then that personal development is a very key aspect of growth, personal growth, and to keep on track for your business and where you want to be in life personally, as well as your responsibility to taking employees and your customers. So a couple plugs. The first plug is if you're a runner, you know somebody a runner, there's a run coming up next month in Philomath, and it's suicide prevention. This is kind of on my heart because the classmate of my daughter was the daughter that committed suicide. So quick plug on that. And the other one is there's two ways to work with me. So I work with companies dealing with tech in a particular way and provide impactful perspectives. So I'm pretty broad, do both tech, innovation, MBA. So it's pretty broad. I just sit down and work with companies. And the other is working with Scott here in the back about freelancers facing the complexity and ambiguous challenges in life. And that's the two websites there. And we've got some police activity. Ambulance. Okay. So I do want to say that at this website I provided the slides here, and I asked for your email. But if you go to this landing thing, it's also written on the back. You can download slides. You don't have to give your email. Just click on the button. It'll download it. And if you do submit your email for my email list, I have a how to be productive when you don't feel like it. So it's a mini PDF booklet that gets into a lot of ideas how to do that. Okay. So taking action. How much time do we have?
It's 10:26.
Okay, so we're gonna do. Okay, yeah. All right. So this is pseudo question and answer time, as well as taking personal action here. Well, I don't know how it's going to go. So one is I could have a lot of questions of what I talked about. The other is actually what I'm hoping is I got your brain thinking. I was like, oh wow, this is what I do, and so that you can actually take your next step on this. And it's the SMART goals aspect. Yeah.
One comment, this talk all is really cohesive, but having your goal to begin with is step one.
Yes.
Before all the rest of this.
Yeah, definitely. I had to make the assumption that the goal, you already have a goal in the business. So, okay. How many of you have heard of SMART goals before? Oh, wow. Okay. So then it'll be pretty easy to go through the type. But I do ask to do a check. These are the 4 major key things. And just pick one for today, mainly because... And just check one and then just go through. You don't have to share unless you want to. And you can make copies of this one and work over the weekend or something when you're on a hike and things. So, yeah. And well, that's kind of what I had. So, yeah. So, any questions? No. So, if not, we'll take some time to...
It just takes me a little longer to form a question.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
Form it on the inhale. There we go. So I really loved what you were saying about resources come after the next step. Can you go into, so how do you prepare your next step for the resources to come?
Okay. I will give you an example, and then we'll try to put...
I asked you a big question.
So no, it's a really important one. I actually heard it from a podcaster. But in 2014 was a very rough year for the Beck. And if you look at economic stats, entrepreneurship was down, more businesses closed in Oregon than got started, and the Beck is on the forefront. And so it's like, wow, we're having there. So the Beck needed money. I had great things in my mind. So I went to the donors and gave them official slide deck and presentation. I got about 95% there. And they said, well, we don't think they're the clients. Okay. Then I wanted to expand the board and bring on more talent. Everybody that I brought on was leaving the area. And that was really, really tough for me. because A, I couldn't get the money, and 2, I couldn't get the people. And if you're an entrepreneur, those are like really tough. So what I did is I just stopped. When I'm talking about distance, I was entering that. So I took a break, and it's like no fundraising, no recruiting. Beck went on autopilot, like it was almost 2 months. Then I did deep level just marketing. I spent hours with the state unemployment and the state labor, figuring out what was going on in the economy, got a better situation. And then I finally was at a position where I can listen to the feedback of the donors and listen to the feedback of the people I was trying to recruit. Because I didn't want to hear it. So remember about that cognitive dissonance, creating your own reality? Yeah, I have fallen that trap many times. And then all of a sudden it's like, the donors were saying, we like the Beck, we supported the Beck, we like you, we like your outline, but we want to see some root. We want to take the first step. And then all of a sudden, talked to the board, we changed our focus on our clients, adapting to the environment to do that, and we did some soul searching, and then we started the programs. We started out with the roundtable community. We got a bunch of people together, and we weren't prepared at all. We a lot of help from SCORE and Peter to get that.
You really just shifted gears, basically.
Yeah, but the key is we had to start those programs first. And now we're having a very good year. We have donors, we have people, we're expanded, we're completely full here. But if we did not start those programs and take that step and take that risk, willing to accept that we don't have all our act together, we would never have been in the spot here. Yeah. So takeaways would be, is that mindset. But there's that research identifying, doing the mind shift, and then getting the program started. So.
Is there a place to go for resources on that? Maybe sometime?
What kind of resources are you looking for?
Books, podcasts. I mean, it's like to dig in deeper with that. Because I see that applying in so many areas.
Yeah. Oh, that is a very good question, and I will be creating a list.
All right.
So on the business side, both SCORE has excellent business one. The Beck has some. My personal webpage has a resource. SBDC. Oh, yeah. But what I'm thinking is more on the, if I understand your question, more on the personal side on how you do that.
No. Actually, no.
No, okay.
In a lot of different sides. I mean, just, for my business, like I definitely am not chicken and egg struggle of like I've really got to get going and have no money to get going.
Oh yeah.
And then even for my church, like we just have a very small church, and like so and I think some of it's encouraging because we've started some different programs and we've started doing things, but we're not seeing.
So yeah, that's where taking that step and keeping the faith is really important. So if you go to my website, there's a resource page, a lot of links in different aspects of it, and there is a small book list there. Can you share what the SP or what the SCORE website, if they have those type of resources?
Salem.score.org.
So, yeah.
And one of my problems as a consumer and a provider of business advice is the overload problem. It just doesn't matter. What SCORE offers is one-on-one, face-to-face conversation where we're like Scott. We're motivational listeners. And so I'd be glad to talk to you at any time. And as far as where to get new money, I think that's, that's a tough one. Again, as you show you're being useful, people, your friends, families, fools.
Fans. It's fans, right? Friends, family, fans. So yeah.
Mispronounced.
And then as you create value in the system, then more people come on, and then the resources and the money can follow.
So one of the things that I think it's Woody Allen that said that 90% of success in life is just showing up, and these downtimes. That's one of the reasons I hang around the back is that I show up and there's usually somebody here. So it's just settling into a routine that even whether you're succeeding or failing, you know that there's that foundation of a routine. And I think, working with the church, that's routine. And signing up for classes, that's routine. Committing to provide service to somebody else, that's routine. Just the predictability is absolutely the underpinning of faith. The belief that it's predictable.
Okay.
Well, if there are no more questions.
Okay, last chance for questions until afterwards.
Of course.
So yeah, and I have business cards. You can talk to me, you can talk to Brett, talk to Drew, talk to Peter. I just talk to each other on the next step. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Well. Good. Very nice. Actually, I'll put this on real quick since that probably would be the easiest way to deal with this. All right. So, a couple last things. Now, we want to talk about who's helped put this on, but also I want you guys to be thinking for a minute, because Scott gave you a great tool here as far as just thinking about maybe something you'll take away from this talk and what you'll actually do with that. So this, being a SMART goal is one way of doing that and thinking through that. So we'd like you to think about it for a second, because we want you to. Hopefully you might share something you're going to do. Secondly, you've got an action form in front of you here, and this is something we've developed to kind of, get your feedback. We certainly want that, and we want you to know that the people that made this possible, of course, was Scott, and we thank him for presenting here and really doing a great job with that. You're also providing the venue today, because he heads the BEC, and the BEC is providing this, so the Business Enterprise Center. And if you want to say a word or two about the Business Enterprise Center really quick.
The Business Enterprise is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to serve the underserved for economic benefit for the community. And we have incubator space, we have advising, we're in expansion phase right now, but ultimately it all goes back to our clients and helping them to be successful. Because if our clients are successful, their business will be successful, and ultimately the community will be successful.
Very nice. I'm your MC, and I run a company called Corvallis Enterprises, and we are really about business systems and software and making sure you leverage the technology and allow the systems of your business to help you grow. Because often you get the dissonance that Scott talked about, and there's nothing keeping things going or allowing you to step away and allow things to keep working. So I really encourage people to work themselves out of the center of their business a little bit, and I work very closely with people to do that, and I've worked with the SBDC and things like that, so have that kind of background. Our coordinator and founder is Drew. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't do it right. Okay. Here, I'll hand it to you.
Yeah, okay. Now it's me that's here.
Oh, okay.
So you did do it.
Now I'll take
Yeah.
it back. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you are.
Wow, this has been great. Thanks for being here. I told you a little bit about Call to Action Alliance. I want to talk more about Biz Ed, because I appreciated the words here, keeping the faith, this is wonderful to have this going here, and we need speakers going forward. We need other allies that get involved. We'd love to see this pop up in other parts of Oregon and in the Valley, to be more of a network, because again, it's attracting great people. So one action at a time, we all rise higher. So thanks for being a part.
Thank you. You got it? All right. So these are some of the people that have brought this together for you. And so now it's up to you guys, is to go actually do something with this. We all go to these events and we hear great things, and it's like, oh, that's really cool. And then we walk out and we forget about it all. So what I'd like you to do, and I'll start if that's okay, is basically stand up and say, what action you're going to take from what Scott said that might, you might be able to incorporate in your business or going forward. So I'll start, and I'm in the middle of startup, and there's a lot of dissonance in where I'm going, and so I'm going to take Scott's advice and take a step back, clear my head, and really get clear on what are my first steps in not try to pursue everything, but decide what are the things to really pursue first. So that's what I will do. So Drew, are you going to do anything with what Scott?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Sorry, I'll put you on the spot.
I mentioned keeping the faith. I appreciate that point. I especially focus on coming up with that renewal cycle. I forget what the exact term that you use, but just kind of, because I get so busy, but how do I hit refresh in an intentional way? And I love that quote from Tony Dungy about act like you're going to win the Super Bowl. I keep trying to do that, but I can do it even more, so bring on the exuberance even more, and hopefully just attract all the good things that come. So, thank you.
All right. Would you like to share?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the things, obviously a lot of the things really resonated with me, but I think I've been stuck in that sacrifice syndrome for probably 4 or 5 years, so I think it's time to get off of that and get into a renewal cycle. Get some regular sleep, which is probably the first thing that I give up.
Yeah, give us your name and your company too when you talk. Just
Go ahead.
Lion Candace Fine Art Photography.
Okay, great.
Yeah, hey, Robin Davis, Point Technologies. My takeaway, you want me to hold it? Okay. my takeaway is, I enter a kind of period, I think, where I'm avoiding the hard stuff, and this is a great reminder to dig back into that stuff. I think I probably haven't done the books for 3 months or so. So I really need to dive into that and make sure everything's okay. Yeah.
I'm Silas, and I'm an intern here at the Beck. And my main takeaways are definitely the act like you're going to win the Super Bowl, that one, and also creating the value before you really look for anything in return. Just creating that value and then moving forward.
I'm Diane Dunn, Farmers Insurance. I really need to take a step back and figure out myself again. And as far as the business goes, everyone needs to look at their finances more. I think I'm going to start doing that once a week rather than once a month. And I really need to act like I'm winning the Super Bowl. I am winning the Super Bowl because I think that a few of the potential clients that I've had, I have lost due to my non-confidence. So I think I'm going to start winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Peter Burke, back volunteer, score volunteer, and I think winning the Super Bowl sounds really good, but I just have to figure which Super Bowl it is I'm playing. So, career counseling. I'm open for career counseling.
Scott?
Yeah, so, Scott Smith, and it's just me, dscottsmith.co is the website. But also joint with Scott Weaver at oneunifiedstrategy.com. So the thing that really resonated with me was keeping the faith, because as you're going through and thinking about, should I be doing this? Should I be doing something else? What am I doing? It's the kind of thing that keeps me from going to sleep at night and wakes me up very early in the morning. And so we know that lack of sleep has the same effect as being intoxicated. And so I don't want to show up drunk. So I need that sleep. So being able to keep the faith so that I can just go to sleep and just wake up due to natural causes would be wonderful.
Well, thank you all. It's always really great to hear, the different perspectives and what's hit everybody. So, as I mentioned, you've got your action form here. If there's any of us you'd like to connect with further or work with, you can check that off, and we can help you, get together. If you can recommend anybody as an ally to help out, a presenter, anything like that, we are really, looking for more help in the future. And if you have any future really education need, we're very open to ideas. We're kind of throwing some stuff out there to get started, but we would really like our community to help drive, what we bring in here and what is really resonates with you and what you really need. So with that, I think we'll shut down our Facebook Live, or